Well, it's probably a little early to play that Hail to the Chief music for presidential candidate Gary Johnson. I'm Michael Patrick Shields, heard all across the state of Michigan. He's been called, though, the most fiscally conservative governor in the nation when he was governor of New Mexico from 1994 until 2003. And he's on the other end of our line very early this morning. Good morning, sir.
Michael Patrick, thank you for having me on this morning.
Okay, now before we can do this interview, we have a new policy. We have to see your birth certificate. Could you fax it over, please?
Didn't that, I was asked for that last night. I thought that was a little bit over the top, but we did fax it over last night.
Okay. It's sort of funny. Donald Trump now, there's a Gallup poll that says 65% of people definitely would not vote for Donald Trump. And Sarah Palin's right about the same there, also 65% people say they definitely would not vote for either of those candidates. So I guess their negatives are high. And it looks like, to some degree, the Republican nominees for president are starting to sort of wither off already. For instance, we see that Haley Barbour's decided not to run. And the word on that is his wife said, Marcia said, this isn't such a good thing for you to do. I don't think you're going to do it. It is a big undertaking. And one of the things that Haley Barbour said when he decided not to run is that you're looking at a 10-year commitment if you count the election, your first term, the reelect, and the second term. But is that daunting to you at all, what you have to go through to make a viable run for the presidency?
Well, so Haley Barbour said that you got to have the fire in your belly to do this, and I do have the fire in my belly to do this, and I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't think I could do a good job. I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't think I could do it, and you have to have a resume to be able to do this, and I think I have that resume also.
Ron Paul says that President Obama can't win the youth vote. The congressman from Texas decided he is going to form an exploratory committee. He thinks that all that enthusiasm that President Obama got first time around will not stick because of what's happened in the last couple of years. Do you agree with that?
Well, I'm putting that to the test. I have been out to a whole lot of college campuses, and I do think that people right now have an awareness that they've never had before, and that awareness carries over to kids, to college students. I think they're very aware that the devaluation of our dollar, the continued spending that we're engaged in, is going to lead to a financial crisis. I really believe we're on the verge of a financial collapse, and that would be due to the fact that we can't pay back $14 trillion in debt when looking ahead, we have the same deficits that we have this year, $1.6 trillion. I can't believe we're even using these terms.
Yeah.
$1.6 trillion, and over the last couple of years, we've had that same kind of deficit. There's no sustaining any of this, and the bond market is going to eventually collapse as a result of no one wanting to buy up our debt.
That frightens a lot of people, and it probably should. Haley Barbour, the Mississippi governor, said he didn't have the fire in the belly. I would say that wouldn't be a fire, that would be an inferno when it comes to Haley Barbour. And I don't think he'd mind a little playful joke like that. But you have fire in the belly personally. I see here that they used to talk about Sarah Palin when she was running for vice president as being an outdoors person and that kind of thing. But you have reached 4 of the highest peaks on all 7 continents, including Mount Everest. I don't know that we've ever had a president that climbed Mount Everest.
Well, that's my passion. I've been an athlete my entire life. I remain an athlete. Skiing is really my passion. So in New Hampshire a couple of days ago, I would have hiked and skied Tuckerman Ravine, which is, I guess, kind of a rite of passage in New Hampshire. And you know what, Michael Patrick, it was really kind of hairy. It was a bad snow day. It was really icy. It was really steep. But we did hike up. Winds were like 70 to 90 miles an hour, but we did hike up and ski down the steep spot. And kind of glad to be back in one piece. But that's my life. That's what I do.
That's unimaginable. Now, people are going to hear the name Gary Johnson. They're going to say, who's that? You are used to knocking on doors and describing yourself in a paragraph or less, it would seem. After all, you started a door-to-door handyman business just to get through college, so you know what it's like to go ahead to knock and try to get the vote, get the sale, if you will. So boil it down. When somebody says, who's Gary Johnson, how do you describe yourself?
Well, first, I'm an entrepreneur. First and foremost, I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. I started a one-man handyman business in Albuquerque in 1974, and in 1994, actually had 1,000 employees. I became Intel's facilities contractor before the 286 chip, which really opened up a lot of opportunity. In 1999, I sold that business. Nobody lost their job, and that business is doing better than ever. I view my venture into politics as entrepreneurial. I got elected governor in New Mexico 2 terms. New Mexico's 2-1 Democrat. I did it by, when I got in office, I really took a jaundiced view of government and its role in our lives and really stood up to the fact that although government spends a lot of money, does it really make a difference in our lives? And so I probably, and this may be a bit of an embellishment, but I probably ended up vetoing more bills than all the other governors in the country combined, which was really standing up to the notion that government is the end-all for all of our issues. And then there were no political sacred cows. I was very outspoken when it came to school choice, believing we should bring competition to public education, believing in free markets, and would have taken a very controversial, if you will, but it was a cost-benefit analysis on my part of the war on drugs and the fact that it's an absolute failure. We now have 2.3 million people behind bars in this country, the highest incarceration rate of any country in the world. So I would have advocated and advocate today legalizing marijuana, believing that 90% of the drug problem is prohibition-related, not use-related, and that's not to discount the problems with use and abuse, but that ought to be the focus. So I'd like to think really a common-sense business approach to everything it is that government does with no sacred cows. Today, that would be balancing the federal budget. Tomorrow, that is how we can save the collapse of this country, but that would involve Medicaid and Medicare. It would involve not cutting Social Security, but reforming Social Security so that it would be financially viable, and cutting defense spending, believing that we should provide for a strong national defense, but believing that we're engaged in nation building and have for decades, if not a century, when we have our own nation to build.
Well, desperate times call for desperate measures, I guess, is one way you can look at it. We've got 30 seconds left. I'm curious to know, when you hear that the Obama campaign, their fundraisers are hoping to raise $1 billion for his reelect, doesn't that seem daunting?
Well, it's the game now, and you got to get through the primary, and the primary would not involve that much money. The general election may involve that much money on both sides. It's just it's today. It's the reality. And I accept the reality, and this is a contest. I'm out. I believe only the Republican Party has the capability of fixing what's wrong in this country. And let's not forget that just a few short years ago, the Republican Party had control of both houses of Congress and the presidency. They passed the prescription drug care benefit, and they ran up record deficits. So both parties can share in this. I'm under the belief that Republicans are the only party capable of doing this, and it is a contest. Who are Republicans going to check off?
Thank you very much, Governor Johnson. We'll talk again soon. The man who climbed Mount Everest now wants the presidency. Michael Patrick Shields on Wednesday.